We've all seen the stray dog. Its furs and knots, it rummages through the trash looking for a decent meal or sniffing around the park looking for somewhere safe to sleep. It tears your heart in two, but with so many homes willing to take them in, we assume that they must be a bad dog, a runaway, unwilling to live with people. I asked myself why a member of the species that has lived side by side with humans for 10,000 years would suddenly throw it all away to struggle with day to day life. I set out to meet the people who could answer that question, and in doing so, I met Bruno, a once feral dog that was looking for its place in a loving home. The first person I met was Rudy Arocha, a canine behavioral specialist who was preparing to meet with Bruno and Kasey, the woman who took Bruno in to begin to teach Bruno how to live with people again.
A canine behavior specialist is essentially a dog trainer, but we emphasize and we focus primarily on the issues that create problems with dogs. Some people say, well, I have a very, very angry dog. Why is he angry? Some people, they'll teach your dog some tricks. Some people will teach your dog to live indoors. I teach your dog how to live amongst us.
Rudy was already aware of Bruno. The information he got from Kasey let him know that there were going to be some concerns.
Bruno has come through a couple of different fosters. They've had some issues with him. He's way too big for the average person, way too physically demanding, and he wants to get out. What's my biggest concern with Bruno is that he's not going to like us changing his life. You know, he's not emaciated, he's not missing any meals, he's successful, and we're going to change some of the way he thinks. So there'll be some pushback.
The stage was set. Rudy, gear in hand, was off to meet Bruno, but first he had to meet with Kasey to get all the information he could before approaching this dog.
Fostering dogs is where you take any of the dogs that, if there's not enough space in the shelters, people can open up their homes to basically letting dogs just, crash for a couple weeks at their house. But for me, it's really been incredibly rewarding because, I would go to work, I would come home, I'd hang out with my friends sometimes. But with fostering, I just feel like I'm actually contributing something and I'm giving back, and not just to the dogs, but to the people who adopt those dogs, and that they become members of their family.
Rudy and Kasey sat down to talk about the dog and to make sure that everyone was on the same page. The more information everyone had, the better chance that Bruno was going to get the most out of this training and find a nice home.
Those clues, like in the house,
Yeah,
and
in the front yard and in the house, yeah. Yeah, because a friend came to pick up a box and he was in the crate, and so he brought a treat over to say hi to him. Bruno did not care about the treat at all. Was gonna bite his face off.
Okay. Let's bring him.
So you want me to just
Yes.
go? Okay.
And then just kind of.
It was obvious that Bruno was not excited about all these new people in his house and definitely not excited about the camera, but it was the first chance to see Rudy's first trick. Did you notice all the treats on the ground? Rudy put them there to see if the dog was too focused on the people or was his instinct to eat still the most powerful. This was a good start. Rudy knew right away that Bruno was willing to work with him, and that was good news for everyone.
Pepperoni's because I'm reading him right off the bat, and what he's telling me by the way he took that from me is that he's willing to trade. He may not like me, but he is willing to trade. And because the fact that he's taking it, but now what I'm doing is building our friendship, because he can't snap it out. But one of the greatest things about these is I can pinch this off and he can get it. And if he can get it and he tastes me without tasting me, then that what you call boy.
At this point, it was clear that Rudy understood Bruno at a psychological level and that it was time to start working on behavioral issues. Rudy wanted to go to the backyard with Bruno, but I had to film from inside until it was determined whether it was safe to be outside with Bruno. Bruno tried his old tricks over and over. He tried jumping the fence, he tried going through the fence, he even tried destroying the fence, but his muscles were failing him, and he needed new instructions. He was willing to take those instructions from Rudy.
So the idea that we're working with is to fatigue him enough to where his brain actually allows us to put input. He's thinking, but his thought is one-dimensional. It's that over that fence, that's it. So now that he's a little tired, a little pull input on his leash might actually get him to follow a command. He can keep this up way longer than I can.
Right.
Because I've got places to go, things to do. He's got nothing to do but get out that door.
Right.
So come over here because I don't want to hit you at the door. Then I'll ask him to sit. And then I want to introduce the door being open while he's still in this mindset. Calm mindset. And then very sneakily. Sit. Sit. And now he can't go outside because he's working this. Okay. All right. Sit. Sit. So even with the door open, now I'm getting the focus here versus the door.
Right.
You know, because this is what it needs to be. Okay. Now notice that he's not so much about the treat, but he still keeps the sit.
Yeah.
Hey, stay. Okay, come on. And then all we're gonna do.
Bruno was learning how to be on a leash again, but not by force. He was learning that it was good to obey leash rules, like a good dog. All at once it seemed there was a different dog on camera. The dog that could run on a leash, a dog that wasn't aggressive, a dog that just wanted to go for a walk. But was this really a different dog, or was it the same dog that was always there? We were about to find out. Bruno had done great work with Rudy, but would he do the same with someone else? It was time to hand the leash back to Kasey. With a firm but loving hand, Kasey guided Bruno through the walk, and Bruno listened. He walked on the leash as though he'd been walking on one his entire life. The rest of the day was spent indoors, talking about the training and what to do from here. Rudy let Bruno play with a toy that was designed to work his brain, but then something amazing happened. Do you remember this dog? The aggressive dog eager to deliver a crushing blow to the camera? As I was packing up, I accidentally left the camera rolling. Bruno was within striking distance, and he couldn't care less. He just wanted to be at home, with his people, and have some treats. He was a good dog.
So I'm not as worried. So I still know, like Rudy discussed with me, that the fence jumping is a difficult one because he already knows that he can do it. And so now it's almost like I'd have to reset, his mentality to make him think that he can't do it, which is incredibly difficult. But now I have a better idea of the type of home that he would be a good fit for. So, maybe a family that doesn't have a yard so that they have to take him on walks. Yeah, so he definitely has a better chance. I mean, it wasn't a magic wand and now he's, this perfect dog. He still is going to have those personality traits, but now it at least prepares me to prepare his, potential adopters about what to expect with him and the things that they can do to keep working with him.
Casey's done a fantastic job of keeping up with his training. So he has huge benefits from that. He's fosterable. He's definitely a gorgeous dog, capable of going with anybody. But it has to be the right anybody. He doesn't have any dog aggressions, people stuff. He seems to be perfectly fine with now. So I think it's pretty good.
It wasn't a perfect ending, but true stories rarely end perfectly. Everything you witnessed here happened inside of 3 hours, and Bruno was well on his way to becoming someone's favorite dog. If all of this can be done in 3 hours with 2 people willing to give a dog a chance, is there any reason that dogs should have to roam the streets? If I have learned anything in making this, it's that under every bad dog lies a good dog that just needs someone to give them a chance, to learn, and to spend some time with them. Given the chance, they would do the same for you.